name is Alyssa Roddy, and my topic is Meatless Mondays. "40% of the world's ice-free land surface is used to produce food. We produce enough food worldwide to feed 12 billion people. With a world human population of only 7 billion people, how is it that according to a UN survey in 2013, almost 900 million people are dying of starvation and malnourishment? The answer lies in the fact that only 8% of the agricultural land in the world is used to produce food for human consumption. 75% of that land is used to produce feed for livestock. The average American abides by the traditional Western diet. This is a diet centered around meat and animal products as a main protein source, and we can see this in our daily lives. We have bacon and sausage for breakfast, a hamburger or a sandwich for lunch, and we're not eating a green salad for dinner. The UN Food and Agricultural Organization estimates that meat production accounts for a fifth of the total greenhouse emissions worldwide. According to a study published in the journal Proceedings in the National Academy for the Sciences, the average American consumes 270 pounds of meat a year. We obviously have more to blame than our cars for our carbon footprint. According to Dr. Rajendra Pachauri, chair of the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, people should have one meat-free day a week if they want to make a personal sacrifice that would help tackle climate change. Today I'm going to explain the overconsumption of water and energy that occurs in the meat industry, the adverse effects of homogenization in our agriculture, and what you can do to make a positive personal impact on the environment. Before I go into the statistics, let's take a moment to understand how the meat industry consumes so much energy. Why does it take so much fossil fuel to make a hamburger? First, you must grow large amounts of corn, wheat, and soy to produce feed using tilling, irrigation, crop dusters, tractors. Next, you have to transport all of the feed via large trucks to feed processing manufacturers. You then expend a great amount of energy to operate these factories. Next, you must transport the processed feed, again using large energy inefficient trucks, to various factory farms across the nation and expend energy operating these factory farms as well. You must transport the animals once they're large enough to large slaughterhouses across the nation, and then you have to use energy to operate these slaughterhouses. You must then transport the meat to processing plants where it's further processed and packaged, expending energy in these plants. And lastly, the processed meat is shipped around the country to grocery stores where it's kept refrigerated or frozen until sold. Because of this process, it's no surprise it takes 11 times more energy to produce 1 calorie of animal protein than 1 calorie of plant protein. In fact, according to experts in the study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy for Science, the meat industry has such a negative impact. Giving up beef would have more of a positive impact on the environment than giving up your car. According to UN.org, the official website for the United Nations, cattle rearing produces more greenhouse emissions than transportation. It's not just beef though. If every American gave up 1 meal of chicken a week, replacing it with a meal of vegetables and grains, the carbon dioxide savings would equal taking 500,000 cars off the road. Another important factor when considering the environmental impacts of the meat industry is the overconsumption of fresh water. According to NPR.org, it takes 2,400 gallons of water to produce 1 pound of meat. Comparatively, it only takes 25 gallons of water to produce 1 pound of wheat. Why so much water? Because you have to factor in the water needed to produce the feed along with the water directly consumed by the animal. Once again, it's no surprise. The meat industry consumes a third of the world's freshwater source. One of the adverse effects of the majority of agriculture being delegated to producing livestock feed is the homogenization of our crops. Homogenization means that instead of being used to grow a wide variety of fruits, vegetables, and grains, 70% of the agricultural land in the United States is dedicated to growing 3 things: corn, soy, and wheat. And more often than not, we only grow 1 or 2 strains of these things. To understand the damage that homogenization can cause, we have to look at history. In the early 1800s, the potato was a staple in Ireland and Britain. Most of the land was dedicated to growing only one type of potato. When a non-conspicuous potato mold got into the field, it destroyed the entire crop. Over 1 million people starved to death in Ireland, and another million fled the country to survive. When you homogenize agriculture, you create the perfect situation for disease to run rampant and destroy everything. In the current day, to make up for this risk, grains in the U.S. are crop dusted with a multitude of chemicals to keep disease at bay. Now, because of the types of diet we're used to eating, giving up meat can be hard. Most people would refuse because meat tastes good. And the reality of the situation is that we're hardwired to love meat. Anything with a high caloric and high fat content is supposed to taste good, because early humans did not get a chance to eat these types of things often. It was a concentrated and valuable source of energy that we're hardwired to pursue. The truth is that our bodies are not adapted to eating such large quantities of meat. This is why obesity and heart disease are the top killers in America. These are diet-related diseases that are completely preventable. They're caused by the overconsumption of sugar, fats, and cholesterol. It's not realistic for me to ask you to give up meat entirely. But reducing your meat intake by giving up meat 1 day a week can have a direct positive impact on the environment and, as an added bonus, on your health. The meat industry is one of the largest producers of greenhouse gas, largest consumers of grain, largest consumers of water, and it has caused the homogenization of crops worldwide. With 70% of agricultural land being used to grow feed for livestock and not people, the meat industry is also a large driver behind world hunger. Fortunately, we have the power to affect positive change in this situation. I challenge you to try and give up meat 1 day a week. According to a study completed by the Environmental Defense Fund, having 1 meat-free day per week per person would be the same as taking 8 million cars off American roads. This is one of the best ways an individual can reduce their carbon footprint and reduce greenhouse emissions worldwide. Thank you.